The old iron gate creaked as the man pushed it open, his hands rough, his jacket worn thin at the elbows, his head lowered as if the weight of the world had bent his spine. To anyone watching, he was just another forgotten gatekeeper at a grand estate, invisible and replaceable. What no one knew was that behind those tired eyes lived a billionaire who had built an empire from nothing, and that this quiet morning was not about business, money, or power. It was about his son's future, and a single test that would either break his heart or heal it forever. Before the story unfolds, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness quests and second chances, and in the quiet tests of character that reveal who we truly are, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who believes goodness still matters, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. The man at the gate was Thomas Whitmore, a Christian businessman in the United States whose name once commanded boardrooms and headlines. He had risen from poverty through discipline, faith, and relentless work, eventually becoming one of the most respected billionaires in the country. Yet wealth never fully silenced his fears. His only son, Andrew, was everything Thomas had prayed for: intelligent, ambitious, and kind, but also raised in comfort Thomas himself never knew. When Andrew announced his engagement, joy and unease arrived together. Thomas worried not about love, but about blindness. He feared his son might be loved for the life he could provide rather than the man he was. Andrew's fiancée, Emily Carter, came from a modest background, or so Andrew believed. She worked as a school counselor, spoke softly, and avoided attention. Still, Thomas needed to know who she would be when no one was watching, when kindness offered no reward. So he devised a plan he never imagined he would carry out. For 1 week before the engagement celebration at the family estate, Thomas dismissed the regular gatekeeper and took his place, disguising himself as a poor worker hired temporarily to watch the entrance. On the first day, Emily arrived alone, driving an old sedan dusted with road wear. Thomas watched carefully from his stool by the gate, expecting at best polite indifference. Instead, he noticed how she slowed her car, rolled down the window, and smiled at him as if he mattered. She thanked him for opening the gate, even though it was his job, and wished him a good morning. It was small, almost meaningless, but it unsettled Thomas more than grand gestures ever could. Each day, Emily came and went, sometimes carrying groceries, sometimes books, sometimes nothing but her thoughts. Thomas observed quietly as she spoke to gardeners, helped an elderly housekeeper carry laundry, and once returned after leaving because she realized she had forgotten to offer him lunch when she brought food for Andrew. She did not know his name, did not know his story, yet she treated him with the same respect she offered anyone else. Midweek, rain poured heavily, soaking Thomas's thin jacket. He remained at his post, refusing to move. Emily noticed. She stopped her car, stepped out into the rain, and handed him an umbrella from her back seat. She did not ask questions. She did not hesitate. She simply acted. Thomas took it with trembling hands, his eyes burning as memories of his own youth flooded back, days when a single act of kindness could determine whether you survived with dignity. The true test came near the end of the week. A delivery error caused Emily to wait at the gate longer than usual. She noticed Thomas struggling to stand, his knees stiff from years of untreated injury, an injury he truly did have from his younger days. She offered to bring him water, then sat nearby, speaking gently about her work with troubled children, about how she believed God measured people not by success, but by compassion. Thomas listened in silence, his heart cracking open with every word. He realized then that the test was no longer about her. It was about him. About whether he could let go of his fear and trust that he had raised his son well enough to choose a partner of substance. The night of the engagement celebration arrived, lights glowing across the estate, music drifting through the air. Emily arrived dressed simply, elegant without excess. Thomas stood once again at the gate, now overwhelmed by the weight of what he had witnessed. As guests filled the grounds, Andrew approached the entrance with Emily at his side. She paused, noticing Thomas standing straighter than before, eyes glassy. Inside the grand hall, Thomas was called forward unexpectedly. Guests murmured as the poor gatekeeper walked to the center of the room. Confusion rippled through the crowd as he removed his cap and straightened his posture, his voice steady but thick with emotion as he revealed who he truly was. The room fell silent. Andrew stood frozen, shock and disbelief battling across his face. Emily's breath caught, not in fear, but in concern. Thomas looked at her, no longer as a test subject, but as a gift. He spoke of the week he spent watching her, of every unnoticed kindness, every moment she chose humility over convenience. His voice broke when he admitted he had never been more wrong to doubt. Tears streamed down Andrew's face as he realized the depth of his father's fear and love. Emily, overwhelmed, did not feel anger or betrayal. She felt compassion. She understood the test not as manipulation, but as a wounded man's attempt to protect his son from pain he himself had once known. Thomas wept openly then, a billionaire stripped of all status, crying not from shame but from relief. He had found what money could never secure, proof that his son's future was rooted in character, faith, and love. The celebration continued, but something had shifted. The estate felt warmer, lighter, as if truth itself had settled into the walls. Thomas never returned to his office unchanged. He began spending time anonymously serving at shelters and churches, remembering what it felt like to be unseen. Emily and Andrew married quietly months later, building a life centered on service rather than status. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that true tests of character happen in silence, please like this video, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows these stories to reach hearts that need them. Years later, Thomas would say the greatest investment he ever made was not in companies or markets, but in a week spent standing at a gate, rediscovering faith in humanity through the quiet goodness of a young woman who never knew she was being watched. Before the story ends, please comment below and share what moment moved you the most. Your words might remind someone that who they are when no one is watching truly matters. Because sometimes the richest legacy a parent can leave behind is not wealth, but the certainty that love, humility, and kindness will always find their way home.